We're back out here once again, and today it's all about these guys right here. That's right, Texas rigs, and how they are far more versatile than you ever thought possible. Stick around, I'm going to give the juice on all my tips and tricks. Oh, that's a big one. That's a big one. That is a huge one. Come on, don't horse him. This is a monster. Whoa. This is a double-digit bass, kids. This is a huge bass. Whoa, that's a big bass. Whoa, that's a big bass. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing, and if you've been around this channel for any length of time, you know I have a fondness for fishing Texas rigged soft plastics. Whether it's a stick bait, whether it's a crawl, whether it's a creature bait, or some kind of other soft plastic, I find the Texas rig is one of the most versatile and effective tools that bass anglers have for catching bass. Now, a lot of guys don't realize just how versatile they are, but you can fish them slow, and believe it or not, we're going to talk about how you can actually fish them a little bit faster and use them to cover water. Whether you're fishing the thick stuff, whether you're fishing a bare bottom, or whether you're fishing cover or structure or out in the middle of the lake, it doesn't matter. There is a type of Texas rig that I can show you today that will help you catch more fish. And the best thing about Texas rigs, one of the best things is those fish don't get accustomed to them. It's not like something that's got a whole bunch of rattles. It's not like something that makes a whole bunch of noise. For the most part, Texas rigs tend to be on the silent side, although we are going to look at a couple variations that will make a little bit noise, that will make a little bit of a thump to help you draw out those bass whenever it's dark water situations, there's some stain, or we got some clouds in the sky. But first and foremost, let's talk about this guy right here. And this is your run-of-the-mill average Texas rigged creature bait. In this case, a salamander. I've got a 1/4 ounce bullet weight that is pegged. This is a weight peg, and this is going to keep that weight from sliding up and down. And this is a great presentation in the spring. It doesn't always have to be just a stick bait or a Senko or a trick worm or something like that. Creature baits and craws also work exceptionally well. And during the spawn, especially when those bass are guarding their beds, something like a lizard, something like this can be exceptionally effective. And this is just your regular, basic, run-of-the-mill Texas rig setup. You know, there's nothing special to it. I've got it on 12-pound braid. I've got a regular bait cast reel here. This is a 7.5 to 1. I've got it on a 7-foot medium heavy rod. I want something that's a little bit more sensitive, so I'm using a better rod generally when I'm fishing a Texas rig, so I can feel those soft and subtle bites. But this is going to be our starting point, right? This is the Texas rig that everyone knows, everybody's familiar with. But there are some other ways that we can also fish a Texas rig, and we're going to take a look at another way right here, which is, well, the Mardi Gras rig, right? This is something one of my commenters, one of the followers of the channel, he told me I should call this the Mardi Gras rig because it's got the beads on it, so that's what we're calling it. Now, I've got a 1/4 ounce weight, and it's a little bit pegged right here. I've got a little bit of a room here so that weight can go up and down, and it clacks against those beads, and that gives it some rattle under the water. Whenever you have some stained water, whenever you're having more dark conditions, this can be an exceptionally great way to draw out those bass, to attract those bass, and get some hard bites on days when there's a lot of fishing pressure, on days when maybe it's cloudy, maybe there's a lot of stain in the water, whatever, but it's still very much a Texas rig. I've got it rigged on an EWG worm. This is just a regular stick bait, and this caught some huge bass for me. I love fishing this thing, again, as a change of pace, as something that's a little bit different whenever I want just a little bit more traction power. Perhaps there's a little bit of wind out, perhaps there's some current, you know, something that's going on that I need to make the Texas rig just a little bit more loud, make it just a little bit more stand out in the water. And again, this is going to be rigged pretty much on the same type of gear as any other type of Texas rig. I've got it regular on a bait cast, but this time I've got it on 30-pound braid because today I was bringing this through some slop. Not every single time. Sometimes I'll have it on 12-pound fluorocarbon, but just a regular. This is a 6.4 to 1 gear ratio reel. And again, I've got a better quality rod put on here, so it's more sensitive. It's a 7-foot medium heavy, and it is an excellent rod. This is a great way to get bites whenever you want to stand out a little bit. So if you haven't tried the Mardi Gras rig, if you haven't tried putting glass beads up under your weight, give it a try and watch how effective that can be. Now, next up, we're going to talk about the good old tail spinner worm. Now, you guys have seen me fish this several times, and these are excellent for covering water. You can actually swim these because it's got that little hitchhiker, and all you have to do is you just get those hitchhikers, and you can get those things anywhere at any type of tackle shop. I get them all over the place. You can get them online too, and a 5-pack is not more than $3 or $4, so they're not that expensive. Just a little Colorado blade on the back of a hitchhiker, and you just screw it in to the bottom of your worm. You know, in this case, I've got I believe this is a yum dinger in the June bug color, but you can put it on a trick worm. You can put it on various other types of worms, or you can put it on a creature bait if you want to. Give it a try, experiment. Don't be afraid to try something different, trying something new. And again, same type of setup. I've got a 7 to 1 gear ratio reel here, and this is 12-pound fluorocarbon on a 7-foot medium heavy rod. And this is a ducket rod. So again, we're talking a little bit better quality rod, because when it comes to things like bottom bouncing techniques, when it comes to things like fishing a Texas rig, save the money on the reel, spend the money on the rod. The reel is good. It's nice to have a good durable reel. You don't want to buy a piece of junk that's going to fall apart. But when it comes to fishing bottom bouncing techniques, when you really need to feel that bottom composition and you really need to feel those bass biting your lure, this is going to be the way to go. Go with a better quality rod. Now, you don't have to spend through the teeth to get the most expensive one available, but somewhere in that $80 to $120 range, which for a lot of guys like myself, that's very expensive. But something in that range, like a ducket rod, will do. I've got a couple of Shimano rods, which I also like, anything along those lines. I also like the Abu Garcia Vengeance. I like the Pro Series Veritas. Those are also great rods. But, like I said, you don't have to spend through the teeth, but you can get some pretty good quality rods. You don't really want to use a cheap rod on them because, like I said, you're going to end up missing bites. You won't feel that bite. And before you know it, the fish might be gone. Or you're jerking that bait away from that fish, and they didn't even know it was there, or they panicked and they left. So, but like I said, great thing about this tail spinner worm is you can drag it on the bottom like you would normally, like you would fish a Texas rig worm. What I like to do is I like to give it a good pop, give it a few cranks, and then let it settle on the bottom. Maybe drag it a little bit and then give it a pop, give it a few cranks, let it swim a little bit. That's what these excel at. These are great for swimming, and you can actually cover a good bit of water. Now, I'm not going to be burning these like a crankbait, but I can still crank them fairly good. I can still get that tail going, and you can draw really good strikes. And a lot of things you can also do is you can get some bass to wake on it. They'll follow it, which is a great way to let you know those bass are in the area, especially if you don't have something like electronics or forward-facing sonar, which on that little plastic boat, I don't have that. So I'm using every trick in the book to get those bass to reveal themselves to me. And this is one of the ways that I can do that. Oh, that's a big one. Oh, that's a big one. That is a huge one. Come on, don't horse him. This is a monster. Whoa. This is a double-digit bass, kids. This is a huge bass. Whoa, that's a big bass. Whoa, that's a big bass. I don't know if he's double-digit, but boy, that's a big bass. Oh, it's a catfish. Oh my goodness. Whoa. That is a big fish. That's not a bass, it's a sturgeon. Oh my goodness. Holy cow. I hope like heck you did not swallow that hook. Oh, he broke me off. Dad gummit right there. Now lastly, we're going to talk about something that I haven't talked about in a long time, and that is this fella right here. This is the good old baby Carolina, and it's a type of Texas rig. You can see it's just got a culprit worm, and I've got it rigged to an EWG hook. Now what I have here is I've got a 1/4 ounce weight that's got a weight peg, a bobber stop on either side. And what that does is that holds that weight in place and gives me that longer line. So this fishes very much like a Carolina rig. It's a great little cheat for rigging up a Carolina if you don't have all the stuff or you don't have all the time, to do the brass weight and the beads and everything else. Me, this is something I actually prefer to do. And whenever I'm doing something like the baby Carolina, I like to use something more like a creature bait or this curly tail culprit worm or something that's got a little bit more drag to it. And the reason I do that is because part of the appeal of a Carolina rig is the slack that line creates whenever you drag it along, and that bait just kind of gently floats down. And something that's got a little bit of drag in it is going to help you achieve that. It's going to give you that more floating presentation that you're looking for. Now, another great thing about these is you can actually move these bobber stops out of the way. You can pull them down and you can just rig it as a normal regular Texas rig. So it is adjustable. It's not locked. It's not fixed in place. I can slide these up to give myself a little bit longer leader. I can move them down to give them a shorter leader. It all depends on the depth that I'm working. It all depends upon the vegetation and the amount of slop, the cover that I'm working. So these are really great. So if you like fishing a Carolina rig, give this a try. Or if you've never fished a Carolina rig, still give this a try. I'm sure that you're going to find that this is an effective way to rig and fish a Texas rig that a lot of guys have never even thought about before. So there you have it. Some unique ways to rig a Texas rig that are still very much a Texas rig, but give you variations on how you can attack the water. When it comes to bass fishing, we need every trick in the book, especially the more crowded that lake gets. So give these types of variations, give them a try, and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.